Hi, everyone. Good afternoon from Vienna. Welcome to my YouTube channel, Making It in Austria. My name is FH Joanneum, and today I have a great pleasure to welcome our next guest, Kaiser Ahmed. Welcome.
Hi, thank you, Adela. Thank you very much for having me. It's really is an honor since the day you wrote me and you consider me that as someone who made it in Austria, which kind of reconfirms my story and love it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, and thanks to Milda, so our mutual friend, colleague. She's awesome. We just had a chance to record her interview as well. Before we start with the introduction, maybe you want to tell us a little story about your name, because I started calling you Ahmed and you said, no, my first name is Kaiser. So Kaiser, so we have a pleasure to listen to a real Kaiser on this show. So tell us a little bit about your name before you introduce yourself, or you can do it together.
Yeah, my name is Kaiser Ahmed and I come from India. I think my dad used to be a big fan of Franz Beckenbauer. We have a football family, so to say. My cousins, they play football as well. And from there, so Franz Beckenbauer, he's called Kaiser in Germany. So I think from there, I got the name Kaiser. And I used to hate the name because in India, nobody, not even highly educated professors, they would to say Kaiser like Kaiser. They would say Kaiser or Koisar or Kaisar. And so in India, we have, in my part of this, I come from Kolkata. We have two names, one house name and was official name. And my house name is Shomrat, and this is something I have always used. So this is who I am inside until I came to Austria, actually, because I didn't know that I'm coming to a German-speaking country with the most German name that you can have. So it's always a fun story and a great icebreaker for getting to know new people in job interviews or wherever. Every time I book something in hotels, or they're always switching still now. So depending on how much energy I have, I try to change you will see my bank cards and everything. It's everything other way around. But what can you do?
It's a great story. It's definitely, as you said, an icebreaker, great story. Yeah. On that note, Kaiser, tell us what you do. So in your business life.
So I work at the moment as a financial analyst at Sky Austria. So I am mainly responsible there for customer analytics and revenue analytics, so revenue plannings, business cases, etc., and also customer insights, which we are building up the capabilities now here in-house to get a little bit of less dependency from Sky Germany, which is the bigger brother or sister or mother, however you call it. So that's my daily job. And under that words financial analyst, I can give a very quick example for everyone who is not is associated with these business terms. This financial analysis is basically, if you think about your home, and when I'm talking about planning, it's just you're planning how much you earn and how much are your expenses, and you split it in different expense categories, stuff like that. For example, so much money I want to give for food and so much money, and then you basically create in the future, okay, how this will be my expenses, what needs to be done so that I have the money to actually have that expense, things like this. So this is dumbing down a little bit.
So what kind of education one needs to start the job like yours?
To be honest, you can come to management education from very different backgrounds. Normally, it will be good if you have a finance MBA or a master's in finance. But for example, I graduated back in 2009 with chemistry as my major in India, and then I did a master's. So I did an MBA in marketing and finance, and then in Austria I'd done another master's in sports finance, so to say. And I was super interested in football, so I always wanted to work in football industry. That was one of the reasons that I moved to Austria. And yeah, so what I'm trying to say again, that what kind of education you need for that. Finance, direct finance education would be very good, but it's just a door opener, just a starting point, because what you learn in schools or in universities about the finance and what's happening in the business is much different, because in schools you mainly learn the theories and not really the tools with which you can actually run the analysis. And so you are basically, once you land in the data mess, you need to make your way through. And I think that's the world is moving rather towards this way. So if for the future, it's not just for future, it's also applies for me. Just try learning skills that, so finance would be the main how to say this, it's this main skill. You need to understand what a profit and loss account is, or how a movement between balance sheet and profit and loss goes, cash flow, stuff like that. But what you need is to have skills, for example, proficiency in Excel, in SQL, in the future probably in Tableau, maybe more data oriented softwares like R, Python, etc., to actually make, if you want to remain an expert and make sense of data from everywhere, not just finances, then that would be the education I would go for. Best combination would be a finance graduate also having a data science degree. That would be for me at the moment the best combination you can imagine.
Kaiser, tell us a little bit, how did you end up in Austria? You started telling about for your studies, but tell us a little bit more.
Yeah, so I I completed my master's. Sorry, I completed my bachelor's and then in chemistry back then, and I went to one of the best universities in India, which is called St. Xavier's College, Kolkata. And for example, just we had, I think, 32 students in our class, and all of them are living abroad, and all of them in deep research. In one of my best friends, he's in Harvard, Stanford, things like this. Wow. So we had a very good bunch of people, and only two of us, one girl who became a dancer, who used to be a dancer back then. So, and I came in business rather than sticking there in chemistry. The reason being that at the time I was really I fell in love with football, which was one of the reasons that I realized that back in India you cannot really have a career in football because the infrastructure and there is no money, and so consequently there is no infrastructure, and if there is no infrastructure, talents don't have the opportunity to actually flourish. So I knew I was a big fan of Manchester United, and I was a big fan of European football in total. So I always was sneaking for an opportunity to work in football in Europe. And but one analysis I did back then is that if I'm trying to work in football, it's not going to be coaching or stuff like that, but it would rather be managing a football club. So to do that, I chose to do my MBA in marketing and finance to actually understand how businesses work, so that I can later improvise on the skill. And after I done my first master's back in India, still in New Delhi, so I had the opportunity to either join Samsung back there, where I did my internship in India, or I applied for a scholarship in FH Joanneum Graz, and I also applied for several positions for doctorate, but mainly in Europe, because I knew that in Europe you don't pay anything to study, and I had no money. So I just want to add to this is that we are four people. We used to be 4 people family before my dad died, and he was our only source of income. His last salary in 2012 was 300 euros. So basically you can imagine how much finances we had. We had no savings, nothing, like literally nothing. But what I'm trying to say is that, yeah, back then, FH Joanneum was the only one who actually replied and reverted, and they had a cool project going on with Sturm Graz back then about sustainability in football. So, okay. And once I had this, it would be a 1-year contract, and I didn't think twice, to be honest. I didn't think twice. I took the opportunity. So yeah, that's how I came to Austria, because the opportunities back there, whatever it was, I don't think it would match up to what the first world has to offer. And it's not a very happy truth for me, but it is, unfortunately.
follow-up question, which is then your favorite football club? Or there are many?
No, it's Manchester United. Now we are having very bad time, but in Austria, I like Sturm Graz because they're like family to me, to be honest. And yeah, and I used to like the Edin Dzeko.
Dzeko, yeah,
Yeah, but
from
when he played for AS Roma, but
ah,
not. He also played for Manchester City. I didn't like him back then. So no offense.
not taking. He's a cool guy. So Edin Dzeko is the football
Yeah.
player for the ones who are here. Football player from Bosnia and Herzegovina. He's a great friend of Bosnia and Herzegovina and his wife as well and the kids as well. So you are what I so what I hear from your story is like you're analyst in your life, private life and business life, and your name, you know, kind of decided for your future, you know, for your interest, for everything. So there's something in it. What they say, you know, what kind of name you give to your kids, it somehow decides a little bit of their future.
Thank you. Thank you. And I hope that this goes up.
Absolutely. There.
Yeah.
So the other question that I wanted to ask you is like, how was your experience then when you came to Austria, coming to Graz, right, from India? So it's a big change, right? I would assume. Culturally, I mean, language, people, size of the city, you know, what would you say to that?
A lot, I have to say. So I came here on the 23rd of September 2012. I still remember the date for many reasons. The first thing that you said about cultural things, I would come to that. There was a big culture shock, to be honest, but I will come to that later. The first thing, which was funny when I think back now, is that I didn't know. I was too naive to think. I thought that okay, Europe, everyone speaks English. I didn't know that there are different languages existing. You know, maybe they talk in private sometimes in German or French and stuff like that, but everything would be in English because in India everything is in English. So I assume that's the only truth. And I came at the airport and I saw Ausgang and I'm like, holy shit, it's written in English, Ausgang. I don't know the word. What am I doing here? You know, and that was the big shock. So, but now, yeah, I didn't speak a word of German back then, which I learned after because I needed to do my second master's degree in completely taught in German. Mm-hmm. So for that, I had to learn German in 2.5 months. I was super proud of it. I didn't go to a school, a German school or something. I learned it on my own from a website called Deutsche Welle, which is free for everyone to learn German. It's a super structured course. I think they will kill all the German school businesses if they're marketed well enough. You know, so I every time I see someone, I tell them always that they should learn it from there. Yeah, so that's why this is important, because if I would have to pay for learning German, I didn't have the money, so it will stop. So what I'm trying to say is that I have one motivation, is it's called find a way. So there are a lot of things. If you ask me questions or whatever, mostly I don't at that very moment, probably I have no knowledge on that subject, but I try to gain knowledge on it, and then try to solve it, to find a way to actually reach that. It doesn't work all the time, but at least I don't give up at the very beginning. So sorry. What I would after I came here, the main I expected, I had the imagination that Europe would be super free and you can actually be whatever you want. And for example, people would ride skateboards or go have party till late at night, which are indicative of a societal freedom, which was missing in India. You know, people would hardly ever judge at the very moment. That was my perspective. So I had zero filter. Now I know that the reality is far away from people won't judge and stuff like that. But it has more freedom. So I would say I had normally, if you say culture shock, I rather had a culture. How do I say it? Is it a cultural appreciation, or what is the opposite of shock?
So you were positively surprised?
Positively surprised. Positively, not surprised. I had a culture positive shock, I would say. Because at that moment, I also met super nice people. So I have this, you have Bausteine to build a house and stuff, but I had these people. I had a buddy called Christian Hoffman, and who who was responsible from the FR to integrate me. But what I had in my life is people who had their jobs or responsibilities cut out to, let's say, integrate me. But these people, they went way beyond what their job description said, and they become my life in Austria. Because when I came here, I had zero friends, I knew zero people, but I first get to know Christian forwarded me to Gregor, one of his friends, that they are now my bestest friends, you know. Then I met at the university Didi Walna, Harry Friedel, who would give me a job to work parallelly to complete my study, who understood the stories that I had, my responsibilities back in family, with an old father who already had a heart attack before, and then no social security, no health insurance, stuff like that. My sister was still studying. Um, Things like this. They understood these pressures. They were not supposed to understand them, you know.
Yeah.
It wasn't necessary, but these people, they guided me. They guided me through. I don't know if they have ever given me a free pass, but without these people, my Austrian integration will not be like that. There was friend of DD. So it's not just the professor. They would introduce me to their networks classes, so, and they would help me in several things. For example, when I moved to Bad Leichenberg from Graz for my second master's, Didi's friend Barbara, she drove me twice. So did literally my moving in, and things like this I cannot forget. There was moments when I was not sure if I'm going to get the work permit to work this Geringfügig job at the FA, so that I can at least have 400 euros a month to survive in Bad Leichenberg. Helmut Simi, Didi's as not assistant, sports scientist. He told me that I can, even if I don't worry so much, if situations arise like that, you can sleep in the sports science lab, which was, I never needed to do this, but these people didn't need to offer me these things, you know, and I'm so thankful that they did. And one of those reasons that after I think the first 3 or 4 years was real struggle, but since I found my feet in finance, in things that which I can, and more than can, I'm willing to learn much more, that it moves forward. It has become easy. One thing helped is, the first year I never needed to learn German, because I was working in English and my friends were more international than I have now in Vienna. And I once I learned German, I could integrate into not just into the society much more, because now I can even understand, at least, that if people are bad mouthing me behind my back, I can understand things, you know. At the beginning, I would always at the beginning I would not get so much looks, but since the FPO government came, and the pre-defining times, and afterwards also, I would get those looks from people, you know, those, like, those, oh my god, he must be dangerous. Yes, I can be. I have two hands. I have all the capabilities of everyone, you know, or every bad person. So I can be. Theoretically, they are not wrong, but
Just
when you
because.
when you need to defend yourself intrinsically every time, it sometimes gets a bit annoying. But that's something we have to, because the opportunities that I have received, if I've stayed back in India, my family will not have the security that they have now, which is one of my fundamental struggles forever. And as an elder son of the family, it's one of my roles needs to be played. And yeah.
Follow-up question to that, Kaiser. What is your mission in life?
Ooh. So it has changed a lot over the course of my life. For example, when I was back in India, my only mission was to work in a football club, and to be able to tell people I work in a European football club, and maybe one day become a coach like Jose Mourinho or something like that. Came here, understood that it's not going. Oh, I will go back one step. When I was growing up, chemistry would be the one subject that would come to me, like literally, I don't need to learn it. It comes to me automatically, like a dream, you know. And that time, my big mission was to win the Nobel Prize. So you can imagine from what level of naivety I have come. So no in between steps. That
No,
has to
just
be.
like
No.
straight ahead to the top.
Straight ahead to Nobel Prize, yeah. And then it would be that I am coaching a football team, and stadium full of people are cheering or bad mouthing. So both is part of the football experience, you know. But what I realized in my life, there are a lot of people, because of my background in a way from where I grew up, still 20-30% of the city of the village doesn't have electricity. And my friends, I see how they struggle if they break a leg or whatever. They're mainly manual workers with no security, daily wage of €2, €3. And so this is my known field, my known background. Stable jobs is a fremd word, is a foreign word, so to say, and which transfers into education. You don't get, when you don't have money, you don't get education because you need to take responsibility of the family when you are a kid. So you work in a tea stall, you work as a barber, and things like this. And barber is not a hairstylist in my village. It's a barber who cuts your hair, who just minimizes the length. That's the only job the barber has. And so things like this, which is very low skill, because there is no infrastructure to actually enhance your skill unless and until you go out of your village. For example, I'm the first person from my place, from my region, who speaks English. There could be some other people speaking English, but first person who speaks German, first person who made it out of the zone, and apparently from the materialistic point of view, doing quite well in life, which is not always the truth, because people don't see that I have to cook for myself, which is I've never did in India, because there are so many. There is grandmas, aunts, mother, so you never need to take care of that. And back in India, the economic system, for example, is where the male, the the men, they earn, and the women, they take care of the household. And it has been the normality. It's nothing good, nothing bad, it's just the normality. It's a different normality. Nowadays people are coming to work more and more, the women as well, but it is still more towards the city side, and not the village side. Yeah. So I have mentioned two different missions, which as you can imagine, has already been scrapped from my life. There are no more mission, because one of the reasons I felt is that there are so many other people who are actually integrated and involved in these missions. There are so many capable football trainers or managers who are working in clubs, doing it. There are so many amazing scientists who are taking the world forward with medicine research or cancer research in chemistry. But the more and more I saw social media got integrated in our lives, the more and more I saw people been seeking happiness out of or out of petty things, or even becoming more and more fake happy, I would say. Or if what people portray their lives in social media, if that would be the reality, I won't see in the world mental illnesses anymore, probably. But what I'm trying to say, where I'm trying to head to, is that this is one field where I felt that people are losing compassion, people are losing empathy, people are losing the simple statement that we are all equal. I mean, cut me out and you will see it's red blood. It's the same structure inside. You can be pretty, you can be white, you can be black, you can be brown. It's all on the outside. This is not what you control. When you come to the world, this is not what you control. But then where you are born, it controls if you are going to do skateboard as your free time, you're going to do for a summer holiday in the Alps, or you are going to stay home and play with your friends during a summer holiday, or you get food or you don't get food. So this is something I see a huge gap in the world, and this is I'm not yet there, but this is one of my missions, that I need to create a sustainable change in the world. Doesn't mean that it's only about helping or donating money or things like that. But I want to use my skill as a writer, as a creative writer, as a maybe in the future, maybe with music a little bit, that to reach more people, because the more I can engage, and not for any benefits, please. This is something if I would write, I would write rather with a pseudonym, because I don't want any kind of personal how do I say recognition, because that will feed my ego, and then my ego would want I want more people to tell me, oh my god, Kaiser was so cool, so cool. Okay, so let's do this more, rather than what is needed. So I want to leave the world a better place. I want to do things that my friends, my families back there, their kids can imagine, their kids can dream of not going to the first world, but stay there and make the most out of their life in whichever way. It could be education, but the first goal is to because I'm a very sensitive towards sickness and the helplessness you get via sickness. If you don't have a social security, if you don't have health insurance and or financials that there, because I struggled it myself with my father when he had his first heart attack. There was an operation needed which would cost 7,000 euros, and my father's whole life saving up to then was 1,700. So I was 5,300 euros less at that moment. Thankfully, he never needed it, so we survived. But what if he needed it? What would we do? This still gives me a chill, and this is now that I have kind of stabilized the boat of Ahmed family, but there are so many other families, so many, and it fundamentally it starts with people thinks that there are humans and there are superhumans, humans and subhumans, and the percentage of subhumans is kind of, and by subhumans I mean all the people who you or me or people don't care about. People are struggling in Africa, and they are struggling. I see in Austrian newspapers when people want to come here, they're not giving up. Nobody gives up their home happily. I am staying here, I'm working, I can have a very successful career or whatever, but inside of me this double life will always be there. This double life of struggle, of staying away from family, eating the food that you need, the religious holidays time to time, which I'm an atheist person, but I for example, in India back then, we followed all kind of festivals, all kind of religious festivals, and those festivals, this childhood, this youth that you are leaving behind once you are moving to another place. I don't think, for example, the social security or this Mindesteinkommen or whatever you get in Austria as a refugee, it doesn't doesn't compensate for all these things. But people don't know about this reality, and I think that if I could educate people in this kind of things, then in this kind of things, the reality, the biggest until and now, for example, I never knew Hitler, which is one of the bad topics in Austria, taboo topics. But nowadays I see, for example, the FPO guy, Strache, previously FPO guy. I see his Facebook posts. I have followed him a lot just to see what I need to prepare myself for, which kind of hatred and stuff like that, But when I see his post, I see that this person is writing a lot of hateful things, and by this he's mobilizing his crowd by hateful things. What I'm trying to say, I want to take this person and let him live with the people he badmouths all the time, or he schimpfen all the time, just live with them once, see in their eyes, and then say those things. I don't think he has it in him to actually, whatever he's writing or his team is writing, to actually say those to people, that to a refugee who has lost everything, tell them, hey, you are coming here because you're greedy. No, because I want to live, man, because I want to live. So this is what I would, so what I'm trying to say is that this action that I said, that bring him there and tell them directly, this is actually empathy. This is actually compassion, where you don't need to live their life, but you feel for them, And at the moment, even as hypocrite as it sounds, for me, for example, I feel it, but then I don't do shit about them. And this is something this is something I think would be one of my mission, to start doing things, even if in whatever minute scale, that there would be opportunity, there would be less hate. Because as I give you the example of Strache, that I believe that each and every human being inside, there probably still is a good human being. There probably still those emotions. If I didn't born in love, but I saw my partner and I fell in love. So this kind of emotion you can generate. And however artificial intelligence, machine learning era we are in, but I think at the end, we should not repeat our mistakes as the atom bomb that time, of our atomic energy. You can use things to kill, you can use things to love. And I think my mission would be to spread love, but not romantic love, but love and affection for everyone, for for the world, for my Mitmenschen.
I hope that you find a way, Kaiser, to
I hope too.
spread more love, because that's we need definitely need more hope, more love, and more empathy and caring for one another. Before we wrap up, I wanted to ask you about what would be your advices for people who are considering to move to Austria, no matter where they are now, no matter what, maybe they have a stable job or whatever. So they're from Europe, from US, Asia. So what would be your maybe 3 tips that you could give to people to prepare the best way possible, if that's possible?
Absolutely. What I would say, I'm not sure that if I can stick to the 3 points, but I will try to. So number 1 would be that do your research first. If you are depends on the category of the people who are coming to, who wants to. If you are a student, that would be the best. If you're a student from a country where you need to pay for your education, try to come to Austria, because if there is the 2 or 3 benefits of living in Austria, I think that you can get until your master's or even doctorate for free. Like literally, you don't have to give a penny to learn it. And healthcare, which is for free, which is basic things. It's more, this country is more communist than communist countries in my eyes, in those kind of facilities. What I'm trying to say, if you're a student, is if you're a student, if you can study here, it helps in many ways, not just that you get to know and get to know your future competitors, colleagues, however you say, from much close range. You get to know the country, you give yourself the time to acclimatize to Austria. And also that once you have a student visa, and if you completed a study, you get I think 9 months to 1 year of job search visa automatically extended, because the simple logic is that the government is spending money in you, so they want tax dollars afterwards. And this 1 year, it gives you a lot of chances, because if you are the benefit is that you are not going to go through the work permit exam if you have studied here. So that's number 1. Number 2 is that if you are already exceptional individual who is working in their home country or wherever, and if you want to come here, then please do the market research first. Please do what kind of job opportunities are here. It's a simple job site search will give you, and which kind of fundamental skills you have to actually serve that, and what can you bring more, because if you're coming out, you need to bring more, unfortunately. And that's something. So if you see, like, for example, don't give yourself a timeline of coming let's say in the next 6 months, but give yourself a timeline that in 1 year I wanna get myself this skills which is needed for this, and then start the process. That's number 1 or 2, however. And number 2 is that coming to learn the language helps a lot. There is a website called Deutsche Welle, where you have from A1 to C1, C2 free German courses. Hardly people know about it, and you can get it. Just continue like an hour every day. You will get to the language, because if you're talking about Austria, German is the official language, and most jobs are in German. There are hardly few jobs which are in English. Even if the company is international and English speaking, you will see that in the team, people will rather talk in German, because that's what normal and for them, and that's okay. That's not impolite or not inconsiderate, but that's how they feel good, and it's okay. And to integrate there, you need to learn the language. So again, language, skill set, and the skill set, I would say, if you're a foreigner, normally you have a bit more drive than a person who is stable and never seen something else. Use the drive to keep getting new skills. Once you are in the job, you will probably have sufficient skills to do your day-to-day tasks. But if you want to move forward, learn something new, and by learn something new, I don't mean learn to paint the wall,
Yeah.
which is not bad, but learn something that specifies your field.
To
And
make you a real expert in
yeah,
that field.
experts has value everywhere. This is
Yeah.
what I feel, at least.
So thank you, Kaiser, for this insightful interview. Before we wrap up, for real, now the books or the book that you would like to recommend to our viewers.
Ooh.
What are you reading at the moment? Or
Actually, I haven't read okay, I'm reading at the moment for like I think a month now, a Bengali book which I don't think the target group will ever understand. It's a book called Podda Nodir Majhi. So it's about a boatman at the Ganges. It's a very old book from I think 1860s or something, and one of my favorite writers who used to write the stories of the soil. So kind of the real stories, and I'm a big fan of real stories, not Bollywood's things, where a girl falls in love and the dance and stuff like that.
yes.
That's not my that's not my thing. And I would take this opportunity to actually recommend a film which I have seen
Yeah.
lately during my holidays. We couldn't. The background is we couldn't travel anywhere because of Corona, so we decided to watch things which are more real to actually travel here.
Yeah.
So mentally travel. And I came to this one film which is called Makala. So Makala. It's an African film, and I think it's a 90 minutes film. Please watch the film. This film will change you as a human being, because this film is nothing but just 4 or 5 days of a person's life, just a normal life, 4 and 5 days. No big story, no big timeline, no
Yeah.
script, nothing. And it was more of a documentation than a film. But I loved it because I couldn't speak to my girlfriend for one day after I watched the film because I was speechless. I was literally speechless. I have seen a lot of struggles. I can give you a quick example is that as I said, that part of my village still doesn't have electricity, running water and all these things. It used to be a friend. So foreign word for us, for me until to 2015 even back home. And I used to think that I have seen struggle, I have seen pain. When I saw this film, I saw that, okay, whatever I have seen firsthand, secondhand, my friends, my family, my people back there, whatever they are seeing, whatever they have experienced, this life, this film on this story, this is probably 50 times of that. It was so much painful, but I think we have been in this social media age. We have been our focus and our concentration we always need something new. We don't really give ourselves the time to actually think and reflect on topics that bother us, or other way around. I think this one film would make you think, and love would be the output. I hope so.
So I will definitely write it in the comment section about to our viewers to watch the movie.
Yeah.
And so thank you, Kaiser, for being our guest today.
Thank you very much.
Real pleasure to have a Kaiser on our show.
In an Austrian show.
In an Austrian show. It doesn't happen every day. And to all of our viewers, thank you for watching. So if you like this video, just share, comment, subscribe to the channel. Or if you have someone who would be a great guest for our show, please let me know. Just write it on YouTube channel or join our LinkedIn group, Making It in Austria. That was for today. So every week we bring you new stories. Kaiser, have a good week.
You too.
Yeah, take care.
Thank you.
Stay in touch.
Yeah, thank you.